Welcome to Rickshaw Skill Modelling. This is part 6 of Bandi's Star Wars Boba Fett. Scale is 1 to 12. In this part I'm going to be putting all the little finishing touches to the model. So finishing off the backpack and placing that on, and the weapon system. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. So starting off with the jetpack once more, and I'm using Umbro 96 RF Blue for this part. This is going to be fitted on top of the jetpack. The housing for this you will barely see, but it needs to be painted. The prongs I'm painting in Umbro 11 silver, which I'll do after I've painted in the blue, of course. The first part to go in is this end cap. It isn't a socket or anything like that. It just closes off the bottom part of the jetpack. And then this bar that I just painted goes in the top. Now you'll see the top of this bar, but you won't see the, even though I painted it all in the 96 blue. Next are the directional thrusters, and they're painted in Umbro 11 silver. Now these may look like a ball socket joint, but there's actually form part of the thruster itself. But they are made up much the same as the other ball joints, and they get placed in the side of the unit. Next we have the main missile, and that sits at the top. The two halves is fairly easy, pushes together without any problems. As you can see, that was pre-painted, which I done in the previous video. Those colours are Umbro 24 Trainer Yellow, and then the other top colour is RC417 Coach Roof Off White. And while I listed those colours, I'm just placing in some internal brackets for the back piece of the jetpack. So once that's all in place, it's time to close up the jetpack, and the back plate should just sit fairly square onto it. Just look at your location points and obviously be aware of the parts that are moving, that you don't get any cement on them. Here I'm using Umbro 60 Scarlet just to paint the tops of these caps that I think are the fuel cells for the jetpack. And while they're drying, I'm just putting on the opposite end, the end parts of these cells. They just get placed in, and they're the same silver colour. And then I can place on the top parts of them. These are a slightly strange shape. They've got an offset at the bottom, but it fits into the casing. So you can see the silver part of the casing as well as the red tip. Next is the middle section of the rocket. There's two halves here to be placed together. Again, these are quite tight to fit, so I had to use my lock and tweezers just to squeeze the part into position. And then once that was done, a little bit of cement for the warhead itself, and that just gets placed on top. However, here's the thing, I actually put it on the wrong way around. I didn't realise until later on that I had done that, so I had to take it apart and put it on the proper way. The thin end goes at the bottom, connects, not the thicker end, which you would expect. So what you see there is the incorrect position. So as you can see there, I've taken it apart and I'm just redoing it. This was actually a day, maybe two, before I realised I had done it. So the glue had well and truly set, but because I was using a minimum amount of cement, it was easy enough to get the part off. The warhead part took a little bit more coaxing to come off, but I did get it off without any damage, and then it was just a matter of putting it back in its proper orientation. And I'll just leave it to dry like this for a little while. So once it was dry, it was time to go on to withering, and I'm using Tamiya's Master Withering Series at B, and I'm going to be using the suit and snow components here to mark up the jetpack as well. So as you said, I'm just pointing out which one I'm using first, which is the suit. So I'm using my brush sharpener here. That's the hard ridged brush to mark these up. And like the chipping, There's no hard and fast rule here. I just want them to be looking extremely distressed. So I'm going to be putting this stuff on quite really. I'm not going to be blending it in too much. I want harsh marks throughout the jetpack. And this is one of the reasons at the beginning of the entire build, I said, don't worry about the neatness of your painting so much if you're doing it like this, because it's getting weathered so heavily, it will actually add to all the markings. And then I'm switching over to Weathering Master Series D, and I'm using the burnt red and burnt blue components here to do just add more of the scorch and burnt marks to the piece now. Particularly on the silver areas, but also on the rocket as well, where you would expect to see burn marks and so on. But I'm just placing it on where it feels natural to me. If you do make a mistake and you need to take some off, this will come off with a little bit of water, as long as you don't leave it on too long to dry. But it will smear, so you do have to be careful. And lastly, I'm using with the Master Series E and the yellow component for the lighter areas. And this is the lighter ones is good as well. If you decided you've gone too much, this will sort of bring it back a little bit as well, if you feel the need. Me, I didn't. As I said, I wanted it as banged up as possible. And I'm also using the Master C on the cloak as well, just to dirty it up. Adding some of the green here. And that's just to show wear and tear on the cloak. Once that's all done, it's time to place on the cloak. There's a little location point on the shoulder for it to sit into. You have to place this on before you place on the jetpack. And then the jetpack just gets pushed into its two location points at the back. As you can tell, the head popped off. That was going back to the original comment about the socket and ball joint on the head. It's not brilliant. It will pop off. And now I'm just adding a little bit more weathering using the Humbrol 11 Silver once more, and the same technique that I've been using throughout the build to weather. Moving on to the weapons, the stock I've painted in Humbrol 110 natural wood, and the barrel is Tamiya's XF56 metallic grey. The build of these are very simple. The barrel goes on first of all. Now the scope I actually slipped off by mistake. It should be all one piece, but I reattached it. I done it off camera, so but you know, I thought I'd better tell you what I did. But once it was together, the muzzle goes on at the end, and that makes up the main gun. It's a fairly simple construction. And the smaller sidearm, the handgun, is made up very similar to the main gun. The two halves of the stock are placed together with the muzzle at the end. And now it's time for the hands. The back hand or main hand, depends how you look at it. The back piece of the hand goes on. Then the other hand that's going to be holding the main weapon, that gets built into the trigger mechanism. This all depends on what hand you choose. There's 3 different types of variations you can have here. I've decided to have mine to hold the weapon, but this can be holstered as well. To save time going through them all, if you do get the kit, there is, as I said, 3 options, and just pick one that suits you really. And for the trigger hand, you just place it on one side with the finger trigger obviously going through the trigger, and then the other half you just marry it up. So now it's time to place these in. So first of all, I'm putting in the hand that's going to support the weapon. As you can see, that's on an open position so for the barrel to rest onto it. But I may change it, I don't know yet. The next one is the main hand that's going to hold the weapon. Again, that just gets pushed on to the arm. And then you simply choose how you want your weapon to be held. I'm going to have mine in the upright position. And then next is the sidearm. So first of all, I have to remove the clip that holds it in place. So that just pops out before I place in the sidearm. And I'll reposition the strap. This is why I said when I was making up the holster, you don't glue in the strap because you need to release it to put the weapon inside. So all that's left to do is put the foot plate in the stand and then attach the model to the stand. Now I had difficulty attaching the boot into this foot plate. The Han Solo one, I didn't have a problem with whatsoever, but this one I had to add a little bit of cement onto the foot plate just to hold it. So this is Barrel end part 6. If you haven't done so already, why don't you head over to the channel and have a look at my other builds. Check out the Han Solo build. It's going to be shown concurrently with this build anyway, as you can guess, since this is the last part of the video before the final reveal. Subscribe to the channel and you'll be kept up to date with all my future builds. Hit the notification bell for that to happen, otherwise it may not come up in your inbox that there's a new video being loaded up. Hit the like button, don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.